Live fast, die young.
Hello and welcome to the Outcast Creative Channel with me, your host, Lance Nilsson. That was entertaining because I nearly played the wrong introduction. This is another episode of Industry Interviews. I've got a very special friend and guest coming on in a little bit to talk about all things their career and indeed the time that they've worked in Canada, which has been considerable. So for those actors based in the UK thinking of traveling to foreign shores, we've done an episode about what it's like to work in America and all the trials and tribulations that you might have getting a visa over there. But among the things that we will talk about with our guest tonight is the complexities of working in a foreign country with the red maple leaf itself, Canada. I'd like to bring in my co-host for tonight, fellow member of the Outcast Creative, who's been on 2 or 3 of our live broadcast shows, I believe, and various other things. None other than melodious Melissa Stanton. Great to have you on, Mel. Thanks for coming in.
Great
and filling in for Suzette Pluck, who got double booked at the last minute.
Oh, for something good, I hope.
Well, a networking event, apparently, which she forgot was in her diary, even though it's monthly.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously she'll be showing the stream at the event right now, no doubt. So before we bring in our lovely guest, Andrea Ware. That's how you pronounce her first name, just to be absolutely crystal clear about that. And I've never got that wrong ever. Andrea Ware. So she's been in loads of stuff from Van Helsing to one of my favorite television shows at the moment, Snowpiercer, which I'm going to be grilling her with all sorts of technical questions about, and various other things. And she's now back in the UK, probably much to her disappointment, because Canada's a far more interesting place to be living. But let's have a look at some of her work. Here we go.
Battle's this way. You don't know a whole lot about me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how I feel. What are you doing out of bed? You know you have surgery tomorrow, Martin.
What? No, you don't understand. I'm not Martin.
Martin, I know you're scared. Trust me. You're gonna love not having a foot. Rimmer? Sure, I know him. He works here. That was Gordon Rimmer's house that got burnt down.
Yes, burned to the ground.
Yeah, I saw that on the news. Wait, so you think Gordon had something to do with that body that was found in his house? Was it really Lux du Jour?
It's part of an ongoing investigation.
I can't believe he's really dead.
You don't seem very surprised that Gordon Rimmer might have been involved in a crime.
I think everybody saw that coming.
Why?
Oh, the guy's a prick.
Wow, I've got to say, that's a great reel. I've watched it before,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed watching that again. Fantastic. Without any further ado, let's bring one of the tallest actresses in the UK, Andrea Ware. I knew that. Just a thing.
Hello, Lance.
Great to see you. It's only been 12 years. And yeah, unlike me, you haven't aged a day.
Oh, thank you.
I think the hair might be a bit longer, but apart from that,
longer.
yeah, you're doing good. So listen, thank you so much for giving up part of your evening to come on the Outcast Creative channel. We like to talk to people from all sides of the industry, be it in front or behind the camera, and talk to them about their own experiences in the industry and impart knowledge to those others working their way up or coming into it for the first time. We all know what a bit of a trial and tribulation and difficult journey that can be. So any advice that we can pass on to people that is useful, that is helpful, we kind of call it sending the elevator back down. And I like to do that as much as possible. So that's what this channel is all about. So Andrea, do you want to tell us a bit about how you got started in the industry first? Let's to quote Julie Andrews, let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. Give us a bit of background about yourself.
A childhood dream. I'm sure most of you can relate, even though obviously people do get into the business later. Took me through school, college, university, studying performing arts. And then I graduated, missed my graduation because I was working. And I may regret that now, but and also, yeah, the day I handed in my dissertation, I think I booked a job. So I had this luck, this beginner's luck. And yeah, I got to work on a couple of productions in London, a couple of BBC shows, and then also on, I worked on Ridley Scott's Robin Hood, which was incredible, and got a real taste of what it's like to be on a massive blockbuster feature film with A-listers who were at the top of their game. And yeah, got excited, maybe thought it was going to come quite easy after that, and it didn't. You have to graft hard all the time, and even when you're working, work even harder, because the next gig, you don't know when it's coming. So after I got a bit too relaxed, I then realized I needed to refocus. And what better way to do it than actually walking away from all your commitments and responsibilities and family and moving countries. So that's what I did, so I could really focus on my career. And I moved to Canada. I moved to Vancouver on the West Coast because it was known as Hollywood North. It kind of still is. Back in the day, Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack used to go up there, and it used to be a bit of a scene. And now sometimes it's busier than LA because all of the US productions shoot in Vancouver. So it's a very busy film town. And I had lots of great opportunities there. And it took me a minute to kind of find my rhythm. There are more hurdles when you're going to a new town and you literally know no one. And you have to, my goal actually, which was really important, and I need to remember this now because I've just moved back to London. My goal was to immerse myself in the industry. So to know what was going on, know who was casting what, and find a community to kind of guide me and support me throughout. And that really did work in my favor. And I had an amazing community there. And I managed to get a great agent, and I booked just, the small roles. You got to start at the bottom. You get the one-liners, and then you start building up, and then you get the guest stars, and then you get the recurrings. And I know I think that is the same terminology here.
Yeah,
and then,
sure. Recurring roles on a show.
Yeah. So you get the day players, the one line, and then you get the recurrings. And so you're building. And in this time, you are building relationships with people, and you're getting to know more about the industry where you are. And obviously you're learning and growing, developing your skills. Yeah, and I had some great opportunities there. I got Van Helsing. I did a whole season of that. It was amazing. It was such a...
I've got that as a topic, and Snowpiercer, so don't dive into that yet.
I won't dive in. That was a great opportunity. And then it continued. I continued booking stuff, had some great years, had some slow years. Yeah, and yeah, recently got 3 seasons out of the last show. And then probably at the peak of my career in Canada, I decided to leave and come back to London.
Why was that, out of interest? Like, I was quite surprised to see you.
I know.
Back
I was
to the UK.
I
mean, obviously, to take me out for a drink, I get that, but
Yeah.
apart from that, which we must do, what else?
Well, I don't know, just life in general. I'd been out there for nearly 10 years, and I think I was just ready to. It was a long time, and I loved every minute of it.
Because you're always putting up pictures of, here's a lake I'm visiting today, and here's another amazing mountain I'm on top of. And
I had my industry, booming industry, and I had mountains and lakes and wild camping every week. That's my 2 favorite things.
Sounds fantastic.
So yes, it is. It's an amazing place.
Or you could have London and Boris Johnson. I mean,
I know.
I mean, it's a hard choice. I don't know how anyone would.
That was a pullback, definitely.
For sure.
It would. I was. You know what? I was ready for a new chapter, and perhaps I was ready for a new challenge, and perhaps I'd outgrown Vancouver, and I want a piece of London. To be honest, I want to work on UK productions, European productions, co-pros as well, of course. But I worked on 3 shows, 3 projects in the UK before I moved to Canada, and it was amazing. And now, I just want that new challenge. I want to expand my horizons. I'm going to go back to Canada. I'm going to keep working there. I'll go to LA if they're cool.
Right.
But I want to be I want to be in this, in the industry here too.
I mean, before I circle back around to Canada, then, would you say that having now got that body of work, you've got Snowpiercer on the CV, you've got Van Helsing, you've got some other things, and some other nice bits and pieces, and you've got a pretty good reel there as well. Is that made it because you've got to have an agent in the UK? So have you got an agent in the UK? Is that going to make that easier for you? What do you think?
It will, but I don't have one yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I can.
It ain't through lack of trying. I thought, honestly, coming back, and I'm aiming high. I'm starting at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to start at the top.
Yeah, no, do. I definitely would have a word with CAM. I'd be surprised if they wouldn't at least give you a meeting.
Yeah, I'm just finding my feet since I've been back, and like figuring out who's who, and then trying to be selective in who I approach. Because I think it's really important to have the right rep, the right
Definitely
agent.
Definitely have a chat with Peter Brook at CAM. In fact, if you want me to, we can talk about it afterwards. I'll drop him an email on your behalf if you want.
Fantastic, I'd love that.
He's a great agent, really nice guy, represents some of the top actors in the business, and including Lindsay Coulson, and I think my friend Sharon Duncan Brewster, who's just done June, is with him as well. So, you should be getting on June 2, really. I mean, we want to see you on June 2.
There's so much good stuff happening here, and again, I'm excited for what is going to come out of here. In Vancouver, there's a lot of sci-fi, and I know you love sci-fi. And
I do, but that's not my main watch. Actually, my main watch is true story drama, and that's what most of my work has been. If you look at my work, apart from my book that I've written, very little of it's been sci-fi based. I mean, I might have a few models and things.
Yeah, maybe
one or two.
One or two, yeah, it might be one or two. Mel was involved in helping me procure a large number of Star Trek ships, but we'll talk about that another time. All right, so you're back in the UK, new chapter. Well, that's kind of the part 2 of the story when we get you back on in a year's time and you tell us what's happening. But let's go back then. Let's go back. So, why did you decide Canada? Why not try your luck in America? What was the deciding factor with Canada just in the first instance?
Yeah, Canada's like the back door to LA.
I can see that because basically American production's there, and if you can get into Canada, was it an easier? I'm reluctant to bring up this question, but I guess we will because I've had messages about it, and we'll put some of them up in a second. Was it an easier process to access the visas and things? And so I've got this question from Paul Thomas, who's apologized for the wall of text in advance. I'll put it up on the screen. You see, professional studio here, we can do these kinds of things. I have a bit of a long question, so I hope you don't mind me posting in advance. We've been trying to emigrate to Canada since 2019 via the federal skilled worker permanent residency route. Blimey, that was a bit of a mouthful. The pandemic put a squash on that as we then sat in the pool for 2 years. So I guess that was like a waiting.
Yeah, everything was on hold.
And an alternative route is the self-employed visa, which is open to actors, but you have to prove that you are an actor who will make a significant contribution to Canada, something that's a little hard to prove. My question is whether Andrea or others went that route, how they found it, how they proved, how they established, and or any advice re-visas. Also, some discussion of Toronto versus Vancouver would be good. I've been told that both are good for TV, a small theatre, Vancouver film, etc. And there's another part of this. By the way, Paul, we expect a big tip for Andrea for this huge question. There's more work, but more competition in Toronto, and you're more likely to be seen in Vancouver. Any thoughts over that? There you go. So, yes, if you wouldn't mind chucking your advice in on that.
Yeah. Hi, Paul. The visa. Okay, so personally for me, I have a Canadian passport. So
that's cheating.
I know.
That's cheating.
Is the show over now?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know you were Canadian. When we worked together, I can't. Maybe we had that conversation, but I don't remember it.
My parents lived there for a bit. My sister was born there, so if my mum applied for my passport before I was 16, I could get one. So I had one. So I didn't have that problem. So I only went or a big part of going is I knew that I could go and I could work straight away. So I am extremely lucky because I watched and supported many friends who didn't have that luxury. And I know that there is one working visa that I think they've just upped the age to 35. So you could go, if you're under 35, you could go and work for 2 years, no problem. And then after those 2 years, you can actually apply for your permanent residency. And that is a process of lawyers and about 5,000 Canadian dollars. A massive application. It is a long process, but most people I know have been successful and got it. But if you are over 35, the ways that you mentioned proving that you can contribute to Canada as an actor, that is tricky. So I'd imagine you'd have to have a body of work to show, and you'd have to get a lawyer probably to present all of that, which is what it's like as well for Canadians going into America. And you get the O1 visa, and again you have to prove that you are outstanding and that America needs you basically, and then you have to have all these testimonies.
For anyone watching, we've already got an episode called BRITS in LA where we talk to a couple of British actors in Los Angeles, and it's on the channel already, and they cover all that in immense detail. So fortunately, Andrea, you don't need to go into the O1 visa bit, but because our mutual friend Tom Kirk went with you, didn't he? Yeah, I mean,
he with me. He piggybacked on my.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hid in your suitcase and then just sort of appeared.
That sounds like the best way.
Yeah.
Sounds like Tom.
I mean, so in reference to Paul's question, presumably Tom didn't have a Canadian passport, and he did not.
He did not.
And he had to pay the $5,000 and
yeah, he did all of that. So he applied. I guess he was early 30s. he was able to. He applied for his
playing age 26 to 31.
Yeah, there you go. He applied for his 2-year working visa, and it's a lottery, and he got it, and he moved over. And so he had 2 years that he could work. And actually, the O1, you can only do one thing on that visa, so it's either acting or waitressing or whatever it is.
That's right. Yeah. You can't do a supplement job. So sucks.
So,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean,
yeah.
But Canada, I do believe you can work multiple jobs and make money in various ways.
And Tom's a super cabaret guy, so he's got quite a few things up his sleeve that he can.
Yeah. And he had a lot of luck, and he managed to, after 2 weeks of landing, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And
Right.
I was able to get him an opportunity, actually, and got him in front of the casting director and director of Snowpiercer, and he booked on that show.
I remember
landing. He had booked a recurring role on Snowpiercer.
I remember, and I seem to recall one of the early reviews of Snowpiercer on IMDb singled out both you and Tom for being outstanding on that. What a coincidence!
What a coincidence! That was a great review. Whoever wrote that, I thank them.
You could tell that person had really watched the show and paid a lot of attention. I believe. I mean, I haven't read the review myself. I mean, it was great. I could tell that they must have liked you both, because I could tell as well as watching the show, they gave you more and more to do.
Yeah. Oh God, I auditioned for like, I knew it had the potential of recurring, but nothing's guaranteed. Yeah. And I was encouraged to just go for it. Like, if there is an option that something could recur at a certain stage in your career, like, sure, if you're Jennifer Connelly, no, but you know, if you are where I was at, go for it. Just go for it. You never know. So I went for it, and I got 3 seasons out of it. And that is because, I
mean, let's talk about Snowpiercer, as we've kind of segued into it naturally. Based on a graphic novel, which I have actually read, the Transvenir by Jacques Orlob. Probably mispronounced all of that, but the graphic style of the graphic novel is completely different to the look of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike The Walking Dead, which feels, the way it's shot feels very similar to the graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true of Snowpiercer, I would say, and it's got a more what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of got a very kind of stylized art approach to the art and the way that it uses the pictures as the narrative for the story. Is quite Terry Gilliam-esque, I think, in the graphic novel. I don't know if were you given it to read or anything as preparation? Did you watch the original movie or anything like that?
I was not given it to read. I did look it up, and I did not watch the movie.
No, it's a lot to put in a single film.
The movie, is quite different style. And I watch, I watched bits of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. But they're separate enough. There are many characters that are in the series that are not in the movie. So I kind of just went in with fresh eyes and into the material to and because everyone thought it was going to be like the movie. People had that expectation, and it's not. So
it's very different. But I
in the movie.
I like them both, but the film is what it is, and it's that you've got to cram everything into 2 hours. So and the show is much more about, you're going to get to learn about the different parts of the train, and we're not going to show it to you all at once, and you're going to get to know these characters over time. And these characters have got arcs, and some of them switch sides, and I love all that. I've only seen up to the end of season 2. I haven't watched season 3 yet because I like to binge watch and watch them all in one go over a couple of days, and I just haven't had 2 spare days to sit down, and I've been pretty rammed, as Mel will tell you. But you've got to work with some great people, including a few fellow Brits like Alison Wright, who was on The Americans for quite a long time. She's a cracking actress.
That is the best. She is a cracking actress, and she's a cracking human being. She's amazing.
I had a feeling you and her would probably get on.
She's amazing. She's funny and so smart, and has such a amazing presence. And I like love being around her and love watching her. Absolutely love watching. Yeah, she's brilliant.
She has a lot of fun with the role.
Yeah,
and
she does.
You worked with another actor who I saw him in his very first TV gig, and I thought, God, who is this kid? He's so good. So I tracked him down on social media, and I wrote to him and just said, just saw you in this TV show. I think you're absolutely brilliant. You've got to go to the States, and yada yada yada. And that actor was Sam Otto.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah, and I really rate him. I think he's really good.
He's brilliant. He's so talented, and he's lovely. He's so lovely, and he sings.
So relieved to hear that.
He's amazing. I actually went to see him in a play.
What was the play?
At the beginning of the year. Oh my God, I knew you were going to ask me that. What was the play? I'm blanking.
We'll come back to that. Google that, Mel. Sam Otto.
Enemies.
Frenemies?
No, it was at the Young Vic.
Oh, so you saw him in a play in the UK?
Cool play. Yeah. It was brilliant. Anyway, he's fantastic, and he's doing really well.
Yeah, and I was pleased to see, there were a few Brits in there.
There's loads of Brits in there.
Well, there's like 7 or.
They're mostly Brits.
Yeah, like 7 or 8. There's like practically a whole train car.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about how it was filmed, okay? Because it's I've got this image in my head, being a director, that there's probably like 4 studios booked very close together. And, in Studio 1, we have this car and this car next to each other. And in Studio 3, we've got this car and this car, and so on and so on. Is that what it was like?
Yeah, that's bang on. That's absolutely.
And were they in order? So, you didn't walk into one studio and you had first class next to the the end, the working class, the steerage people.
No, there was no order. It would have been the order of how we were shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't everything other than that. It wasn't in order of how the actual train was laid out or how it appered to be. But massive studios all together, and then from the outside, just like wooden timber kind of train cars that they built. And then you go inside and you're transported into a completely different world. And that was really cool because each train car is so different. Yeah. And so, Best of Enemies. That was it. Thank you. That was the place Sam Otto's was in. So each car is a completely different world and experience. And that was super fun. And actually my character, I was really lucky that I got to go in most of them, because some people were just, maybe actually that changed over the seasons, but at the beginning they were just bound to like certain areas. Yeah. But train cars, like Tom's character was basically just in the night car.
Which I'm sure Tom was completely fine with. Oh, I'm in the nightclub the whole time. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in his element. But yeah, it was amazing. All the artwork and set designers and builders and painters and carpenters and everyone, hundreds of people around all the time. And in one, you're shooting in one and they're building in the next, Right.
And that, I mean, were they on any kind of, could they tilt or anything like that?
Yes.
Did they?
Yes. And you would literally just have some, you know, guys and gals just like push. It would be on a wooden lever, and they'd just like be sat there like going,
Yeah.
with the train motion. And then when there was light passing by, I'm giving away all the secrets now. They would literally just like, I've got a video of 3 guys, and they just be like putting this, you know, to create the effect of shadow.
Right.
And it was actually really beautiful to watch that just before we went to shoot. But yeah, lots of simple tricks, really.
Was it? I mean, were you able to shoot during the day? Because it's kind of set in a world where there's no sun, really.
Oh yeah. It's blackout in those studios.
Yeah.
There's no those. Yeah.
So fortunately, you didn't have to do like weeks of night shoots then, which are...
No, but that was a beautiful thing about that show, is that it was all in studio. There are many shows like Van Helsing were brutal night shoots in the mud and rain. Most of that series was outside for the season that I was on, and I loved it. I love getting muddy and, you know, rolling my sleeves up and playing and having fun. But for the crew who had been out in the rain for 12 hours, not so much.
Yeah, it was less entertaining perhaps for them.
So this was all in studio, so it was very, in that respect, it was easy for some. Although it was a huge production, so it was hard
Did you
work.
get to do any scenes with Sean Bean? I can't remember if you did or not.
I did, yes, several.
Because we're doing an industry interviews with Jason Salke in a couple of weeks, who played Rifleman Harris with him. And so I've heard all the stories and how Sean came to that production quite late after the other actor was injured in a football game that Jason organised, which is fairly funny.
Oh, wow.
Paul McGann, was originally supposed to play Sharp. And Jason's wife is from the Ukraine, because that's where it was all shot. So that's going to be an emotive interview, as you can imagine. I think I'm right in thinking that, talking of global scenarios that impact the the film world, you would have been shooting Snowpiercer. I think you just completed season 1 when the pandemic started happening. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you were in Canada. You've been there a while, obviously. So you had a support network and all the rest of it. But you were shooting Snowpiercer, and then maybe just tell us about how suddenly it went from, okay, we're filming a show, to shit, what's happening, and what was COVID like in Canada, and what could you access, what couldn't you, and how long were you out of work, and were you supported by the government? What was it like there?
Yeah, it was a scary time, an unknown time, obviously, for everyone. And it basically, it wasn't compulsory, but there were whispers of everything shutting down, that it was going to happen. And then literally within a matter of hours, boom, 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 boom. Most shows that were shooting in Vancouver on that March 15th day or something, I can't remember exactly, everything shut down. Everything. And until no one knew when. And so then it was probably about, what did they do? Snowpiercer specifically shut down. And then, we were just at the end of, season, it was at the end of season 2, actually. We'd already done season 1. So it was at the end of season 2. We had just a short bit of episode 209 and 210 to complete when it shut down. And so it shut down in the March, and then the following September, maybe, we shot the last 2 weeks of it to complete that season. And yeah, I think for the most part, there was nothing going on for a good 3 months. And then slowly things were beginning to sort of simmer, and some productions, but very tentative. And yeah, a lot of unknown. And of course, for everyone, it was hard. For actors, it was really hard. And but as we were discussing earlier, lots of new beautiful things came up, and people were forming, you know, groups and plays and readings and stuff online. And actually a couple of friends of mine did an amazing, they called it a mistress class, and they had different guests each week and industry talks, and it did really, really well. And it was a really, they formed a great community doing that. That was just one thing that came out of it. But
yeah, that's kind of
yeah,
what happened with the Outcasts, and
yeah,
same thing. And now we've got members all over the world, you know, which is really nice, and still doing bits and pieces with them. So was there direct help from the government for you guys with
yes,
COVID?
there was actually. Canada took very good care of us. I was really impressed. And
Oh, I wish I'd been there.
well, I am Canadian, but I'm pretty sure that even non-Canadians who live and work there, who don't have citizenship, they were still taken care of too. And basically, yeah, we were given
Like a stimulus package, or, you know, support, that
monthly support, and it
Yeah.
was easy to access. And yeah, I mean, God, we would have been screwed without it. But yeah,
tell me about it.
yeah.
But
they did well, and I'm sure there'll be varying opinions of that, different people's experiences. But my experience personally, I was impressed and taken care of, so I'm grateful.
Fantastic. Are you back on Snowpiercer for season 4? Because it is having a season 4, or no? You've relocated to the UK, so I'm guessing perhaps not.
Spoiler.
Oh well, okay, all right. Let's not. Well, I haven't seen season 3, so maybe
that's only to you. It's out on Netflix. If you haven't seen it already, then that's on you. They are shooting season 4 right now in Vancouver, and I am not there.
Yeah, well, it's not a spoiler because they announced it publicly. That's how I know.
No. The spoiler is I'm not in season 4.
Oh, right. So something may have happened to you, is what you're implying. Okay. Well, I haven't seen season 3 yet, as I said, and but I've got to say, I just like good quality television shows, and there are actually quite a lot of sci-fi shows out at the moment. In fact, we've been overloaded with them, and I've got to say that of all of the ones in the last 5 years, I'd definitely put Snowpiercer in my top 3.
Brilliant.
And none of the Star Trek ones are in that category. And I am a Star Trek fan, but I like good quality writing, good quality acting. I don't like shows that break the rules of their own universe. And Snowpiercer, if you know what I mean by that, and Snowpiercer was pretty good at sticking with that for the most part. So, and you know, just fantastic production design, which I believe may have also been mentioned in a certain IMDb review. Yeah, it was really, really good. So I also would extend my congratulations to the production and the cast. I'm glad it's back for a full season. I suspect that might be the last one, because there's probably a finite limit to how long you can keep a show running that's on a train that's circling the globe. I don't know that I can go on for 7 or 8 seasons maybe, but
I'm not sure, but backed by popular demand. And
that's very true, and it does have a massive following, and I dare say you could probably pick up a few bucks if you went to some Comic-Cons with some Snowpiercer picks. Let's stay with the sci-fi fantasy realm. I see that indie filmmaker Oliver Hollingdale's watching us, and he's a bit of a Snowpiercer fan, and a fan of Sean Bean, and a fan of Andrea Ware as well, I hope, Ollie. So let's talk about Van Helsing. How did that? Was that the first big gig that you got in Canada?
Yeah,
Before Snowpiercer.
It was before Snowpiercer. I'd done a few shows, a couple of guest stars, but that was my first series recurring. And I was basically a series reg for season 2. Fractional series reg, I think they call it. But yeah, that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. They were looking for, they wanted a character that was quite unique in their, I don't know, I guess in their physical appearance.
Do you mean tall? And
then they weren't quite sure where they wanted to go, but they wanted this character to be just strong and resilient. They basically then had in mind Gwendolyn Christie, Game of Thrones. And so as soon as I saw that in the breakdown, I was like, well, I'm 6'2". Okay, I'm very tall, and in the industry, I'm taller than almost everyone. So as soon as I saw that in the breakdown, I was like, this is mine. And I went, and it was a great role. I played a character called Lucky, and she wore a bandana and carried the biggest machine gun on set.
Yeah, she looks like a female Rambo.
Basically. But I've got a big heart, and that always ends up like kind of coming into my roles. So they wrote her as this badass, like ruthless. What did the director say? Like a devil may care attitude, like doesn't give a. And it started off like that. And then halfway through, suddenly there's like a romance story, and she's pregnant, and she's like, that you see her vulnerable side. And then I look back and I'm like, it's just interesting. It always happens. The writers end up writing part of you, elements of you into the character, I find. So yeah, she was a badass, but she was also a bit soft.
They're all sitting there in the writer's room going, should we make her meaner this season? No, it's Andrea. We can't.
She's too sweet. She's too nice.
Let's just.
That's what happens. Then I got killed. So if I'd been tougher, maybe that I would have gone through to season 5. But no, that is a beautiful thing, and it was a great character. And yeah, I had an amazing audition with the director Michael Nankin, who is one of the most favorite directors I've worked with, one of. And yeah, it was an amazing audition, and I booked it, and it was.
What about his direction in particular was helpful to you as an actor?
Well, in the room, and then on set, he's an actor's director, and he cares so much about the actor. Like some directors are very technical, and they move through really quickly, and they have their own style, their own unique style. Michael is he's very generous and takes his time, and so the actor gets to take their time and process what's happening, and it's a journey, and it's collaborative. And it's just really amazing. And he did that in the audition room. And I did the audition, and then he brought me right back to, he said, why did you get into acting, Andrea? Can you remember that moment that you decided you wanted to be an actor? And took me right back to, being on stage when I was 7 and loving that feeling. And so I dropped back into myself And he was like, right, go again. And I just brought that and I've smashed it and I booked it. So that was thanks to him.
That's quite nice of him to be so generous in the casting.
So generous.
Yeah.
So
Well, he
generous.
obviously, he thought, I think this girl's right for the part, so let me try and push her a bit.
Yeah, he must have had.
And then after you went out the room, turned to the casting director, went, "See, told you she's the one." I can picture that now. So you were on that for how many seasons?
I just did one.
Right.
I did one season. It was season 2, but it was.
And you said you were filming on location a lot, woods, forests, running around in the mud,
night shoots, derelict hospitals, other derelict buildings of some script. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was grubby. It was it was gritty, and it was this vampire show. So we're killing vampires, and there's blood and gore and lots of smoke machines and.
I have to admit that
smoke.
That's one of the things you've done that I haven't seen, and I like watching the work of people I've either worked with or want to work with, and I'll go out of my way to do it. But the reason I didn't watch that was because I was really G'd up when that Van Helsing movie came out. I don't know if you remember it. I think it was out in the mid-90s or late 90s maybe, and watched that, and I was massively disappointed in it. I thought it was awful, and I thought, why are they doing a TV show of that? And this is before you were in it, so I'd kind of already switched off my head to, that's probably not for me. And you know how it is. There's so much content out there now. You can't watch everything.
God, there's so much. No,
yeah,
you've
got to make your choices. And also, I mean, the platforms themselves are aware of that, so they've got to give every trick in the book they can to get you to watch stuff on their channel, their platform. And there's more stuff probably out now, let alone next year, that I want to see, that I could ever watch in my lifetime. So you have to be quite harsh about what you pick and choose. Same with going to the cinema as well. These days, apart from anything, I can't afford it in the current financial, preparing my my savings for the £2,000 winter fuel bill that's going to be coming. Fun times. Hopefully that won't be as bad in Canada, but well, I guess you won't be there to find out. But that might be a reason. That might be a reason to go back. So, of all the stuff that you've done to date, stage, film, whatever, what piece would you say you've worked on that you're most proud of, and why?
I think Van Helsing, that character and the story arc, and I really got to get my teeth into it. It's a vampire show, but I mean it, and I got to really just loved the character. I really got to bring a lot of myself to the role, and also,
I'm gonna have to watch it now. Then
watch it. It's great. I mean, it's great. It's not as high budget as Snowpiercer, and Snowpiercer is amazing, and I loved it. But my role's not as significant in that show.
No, true. And I mean, you're
and it's not always about that, because on Snowpiercer I got to work with Jennifer Connelly, I got to work with Sean Bean, I got to work with amazing directors and the rest of the amazing cast. So those experiences were fantastic.
Yeah. Caught your
Yeah.
friend Chelsea Harris in Top Gun the other day.
I haven't seen it yet.
She's got a nice cameo role near the beginning. In fact, there's a review of the film on our channel, and I gave her a shout out in the review as an actress to watch out for.
She's brilliant, and she's awesome as well.
Remember, I don't know if you remember, but you put up these great pictures on social media of, hey, look at me with all the cast of Snowpiercer on some kind of rafting beer barbecue bonanza, and I was like, oh fuck, that looks That looks really fun. And I think we were still
pretty
in lockdown at the time over here. And it was right after lockdown. I remember literally like lockdown had lifted in Canada. And the next day, there's a picture of you all at this party. And I saw her and I recognised her from We Audition. And that's when I sent you a message and said, "Isn't that Chelsea Harris?" And it's because I recognised her from We Audition, not from the show. So yeah, that's when I sent you that message. All right, let's move on. So, have you got an embarrassing moment that's happened on the set of one of your productions that you'd care to share with us and indeed the world?
Embarrassing. I can't think of a really embarrassing
Or hilarious, perhaps.
Well,
or just tell one that Tom did, and we can just tell that story.
yeah.
There must be loads to choose from.
No, I can tell you that on Snowpiercer, a scene that was not necessarily I don't want to give it away, but it wasn't a pleasant experience for the character or for the actor. But I told you, like, I went on Wake Up in the Wardrobe when I was young and I got gunged and I loved it. So it was actually a similar experience to that. So I was happy to embrace that situation. And so people are, "Oh, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Are you okay? Like, do you need anything?" And I'm like, "Oh, bring it on." And basically I had some liquid thrown at me, degrading for the character. But you know, the props guy showing me what it is, what's in it, what's it made of. But the most awesome part is that I was just having touch-ups, hair, makeup, whatever, before the scene. And then the director, Christoph, who's just fantastic, came up. He's like, "Oh, where's Andrea? Where's Andrea? I'm here." And he comes up and he's wearing exactly what I'm wearing. I was like, "Christoph, why do you look like me? What's going on here?" And after we shot the scene where I got shit thrown at me, basically, I got to throw shit at him, and he got up where I was, and we filmed it, and I got to throw it over him. So that was a really cool experience.
So did he do a cameo as a jackboot in the same scene, or was it just
No. So it's not in the show. It was just fun, and it was just for the director to be like, "I'm not having my actors do anything that I wouldn't do." So yeah. It wasn't. It could have been embarrassing for some people. I didn't find it terribly embarrassing, but it turned out to be an amazing shoot day with that experience as well.
So, like you said, you're one of the tallest actresses in the business. There's you, Gwendolyn Christie, and of course Mel, who's nearly 6 feet.
Are you?
No, I'm short.
Yeah. But you're big in personality, Mel. It's so easy to get confused.
Yes. What I lack in height, I make in stature.
I mean, I think in the industry, because you're in the category on face value, you're in the category that's most oversubscribed, which is white female actress. Well, the most oversubscribed category is white female actress 18 to 30. And then I think the next one is probably 30 to 45. But if you can tick a box that's a bit more niche within that, i.e. impressively tall and quite imposing, I think that's a good thing, because that makes you're going to be able to apply for certain roles that Mel, for example, might not be able to get in the door on that one. She can try, and that could make for an interesting comedy skit, in fact. But yeah, I mean, do you think that's a good thing as opposed to an obstacle? What's your take on that? What's your experience of that been like?
I think it's a good thing. I think whatever makes you unique is your strength. And I didn't used to think like that, because everyone would say, "Oh, you're too tall, or oh, you're not going to play that because you're not going to play the against him because the husband, he's going to be short, so that's not going to work. And I got a lot of like negative. And of course, when I was young, I didn't, I didn't know. I knew I was tall, but I wanted to be an actor, and I didn't think about my height until everyone then is telling me. So I was like, oh, okay, this might be an issue. And yeah, I don't go out for certain roles. I don't, especially if I don't know, if the rest of the cast are all 5'2", unless I'm going to be the comic relief by being 6'2", or unless I'm going to be. But things have changed, which is awesome. And now there's a lot of female warrior roles and Vikings and badass, empowered, strong women. And so now I'm like, yes, this is my time. And, I want to be the warrior queen riding through the forest on a horse.
I mean, I'm waiting for you to do that role. In fact, I've always thought, yeah, I can see Andrea in a Sword and the Sorcerer movie. In fact, we had one of the cast from that on last week.
Nice.
Oliver Hollingdale has just said, hell yeah, Vikings, woohoo. But I think Vikings.
Exactly.
I think Vikings was finished, but they're doing a spin-off.
Yeah, Valhalla.
And it's lots of female Vikings, I think.
Yeah, shield maidens.
Yeah, there you go. See, Mel's all over it. So, you know, when you have the Oxford Cambridge thing in the Vikings film, Mel is the little lady at the front calling to you big tall warrior types to row harder.
Yeah,
that's an important role. That is a very important role.
Loud hailer. But you need to be put up for that. I think you got to get on that.
I know.
You got to get on that. You got to get on Amazon Lord of the Rings before it gets crucified by absolutely everybody in the world.
I know, because that was going to be it was either going to be Vancouver, UK, or New Zealand. It went to New Zealand, and now it's here, isn't it?
It was always going to shoot in New Zealand. My understanding of, because I know people that work on the production from day one, it was always going to be New Zealand because I heard
that was the pitch though. So in Vancouver, everyone's like, "Oh my god, Lord of the Rings is coming here! Lord of the Rings is coming here! I'm going to be an elf." And
it was what happened was it was always going to be New Zealand because they wanted to match. Originally, they wanted to match the look of the show with the Peter Jackson films, which I thought was a really good idea. I thought, yeah, keep the look. In fact, make the costumes as similar as you can from that world. That would be great. Everyone will buy into that. And then when COVID came along and the pandemic, they'd started building the sets, but they'd shot almost nothing in New Zealand. They'd done hardly any principal photography. And the majority of the cast were from Europe. So on that basis, they looked at production costs of either shooting it in the UK, Wales, Scotland, or going to Canada and shooting it there. And that's when Canada came into it. So it was is it going to be Canada or is it going to be England for we're now going to shift the production. And where is it
now? Wales.
It's shooting in the UK. I believe Wales and Scotland they've done stuff, and I think principal photography for season 1 was completed quite a while ago. That's a show I've got a lot of concerns about. I'm going to be honest. I'm a massive fan of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Saw all 3 of them on opening night in Leicester Square. Went back and saw the special editions. Then I saw all 3 of the special editions together when they showed Return of the King for the very first time, and everybody was dressed up as hobbits and things. I was quite happy to just go in with a pizza. I didn't need to put a costume on, but it was a really good day. It was everybody was so pumped to see the last one extended. Not even been released on DVD, so I was one of the first people to see it, and it's just brilliant film. I just think that the whole trilogy is, still now I watch it every Christmas. It stands up. And then the Amazon Lord of the Rings trailer drops, and it looks like it's been made on 90s computers, and I don't know. It just doesn't look good.
The trailer.
Well, yeah. Watch it. Come back. Let's do a reaction discussion. But Yeah, I've got some issues with it. Listen, I might be surprised. It might be amazing.
I'm not going to talk down about it because I'm going to be working on it soon. So.
Well, I was about to say it'll be even more amazing if you can get on it. And like I said, I've got some concerns, but I haven't seen it yet, so I will reserve my opinion until I've seen it. And on our channel, we're not really about bashing stuff, and there's lots of people that do critiques of things very well. I talk about stuff that I really like on here. As do the other outcasts, and so get on a show that we really like, and I'll talk about it. No problem. That's why we're talking about Snowpiercer, because I think it's brilliant. So you did quite a lot of other jobs during, in between the shows in Canada, and I think you worked in casting a bit. I also saw that you did maybe some dinner theatre or theatrical plays and things. I mean, just tell us about that stuff.
Yeah, I did a great play actually. And it was in the style of Punch Drunk, like Sleep No More, and Punch Drunk back in England. I read recently, so they're it's immersive theatre. So they're in some huge warehouse in East London, and yeah, immersive. So you walk around the space and interact with the actors, and it's like being on a film set basically, because you get to go into the room and open the drawers, and then someone appears here, and you're not just in the audience, you're in it. So I'm a big fan of that kind of theatre. And I heard that there was something like that being based on Sleep No More, which is Punch Drunk show in New York. That was going to be put on in Vancouver. So I immediately got in touch with the people running it, and I happened to know them. And we had a great chat, and we're excited to work together. And it was fantastic. And actually, I brought in a fair few cast members to that production as well, because when you have a vision, a part of the process is bringing together the right people, and to create that magic. And that is something else that I worked in, and that was in casting. So I worked for an incredible casting director in Vancouver, and for several years, many years, and I got to learn the whole process. And it was fascinating. And it changes you as an actor when you know what's going on, and you can understand that there's so many reasons beyond your control that you're not booking the role, and that the casting director is on your side. All these cliche things which are true. So yeah, I got to connect with a lot of people in the industry and learn, and then help people along the way. I was always having a cup of coffee with someone and sharing, the wisdom that I'd learned.
Yeah, which I think
found that quite a lot, that a lot of actors starting out don't realize how much there is that goes on that's out of their control, and they get upset that they haven't got the casting. And I just keep saying to them, it might be that your eyes are the wrong color. It could be that simple.
Exactly. Absolutely. It could be that. If they've already cast the mother or the brother or whatever, and you haven't, something as simple as that. But basically, what you need to remember, if you've been invited into the room, you've already won. They want you in the room. Fantastic. And then they're rooting for you. They already are interested in you. You wouldn't be auditioning if they were not interested in you. They're already interested in you, and they want you to succeed. And sometimes you come really close. And as an actor, when you come really close to your dream role, and you don't get it, it is heartbreaking. And it takes a while to shake it off, but you have to shake it off and move on.
What is the dream role for you?
You
threw that out there, so I thought I'd take the bait.
I think at the moment, I mentioned visions earlier. I'm in the south of England near the New Forest, And I was walking the other day and I had a vision of me being on that horse and some period drama, and so at the moment, to be in that kind of world, it's also that kind of Robin Hood world as well, which I did get to play in at the beginning of my career. And I love it. So a character with substance in that world would be pretty dreamy right now. Yeah. But I don't pigeonhole myself. If it's a good story, good writing, I'm in.
Yeah. You know, it always starts with the script, and there's a lot of rubbish being made at the minute.
There is.
Yeah, there is. Which is a bit of a shame. I have a feeling that this period of production is going to not be looked on too fondly in history. Don't get me wrong, there's some standout stuff being made, some absolute standout stuff, but there's just a lot of rubbish. And I just like, who is writing this? You know, and how long have they been a writer? And did they just go out and buy a book and now they're writing an episode of a major TV franchise? And it's just like,
I think with the streaming services as well, that there's more opportunity for people to sell their work to them. So and for their scripts to get made. And in some ways that's a brilliant thing, but then in other ways there is more content that isn't as high quality because it's not network, it's not the major networks that are producing it to a certain quality. So there's good and bad. Obviously we love independent film.
Yeah, we do. Our channel is all about supporting indies, so if you're ever working on independent film with a director, please come back to us. We will go out of our way to support it. You can just drop me a message and I'll promote it straight away on my social media. You'll see me do that for people, and probably have all the time. Just want to go back to casting for a little bit, because I know we're going to have a lot of actors watching this, and I think that this will be a particular interest. So something that I've always known from day one, sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes somebody drops out of something last minute and you'll just have to get someone who's available, and that's a risk, and you don't know anything about that person other than you've seen them in whatever. And sometimes it can all be lovely and it works really well, and other times it can be a fucking nightmare. But with the way things are now, and there are so many more people out there, there's such a big pool of talent in pretty much every category you can think of. My take on this is that people are putting an equal precedent into not just how talented somebody is, but whether they're a nice person to work with. And whether they're going to be a good experience, a good energy on the set or on the theatre production or whatever they're doing. Good team player, somebody who's a generous actor in the room with other actors, that kind of thing. And I've noticed over the years, you hear this person's got a reputation for being difficult. You hear this person's got a reputation for being difficult. And I keep an eye on those people. And they go for huge troughs of time without working, like at all. So it's obviously, people are not putting up with that shit as much as they used to. Having worked in casting, is that what you heard on the grapevine? Was that stuff kind of discussed? And, how important was that to people?
It's very important. I think in any industry, in any workplace, no one wants to work with a difficult person. And the ripple effect is real. And especially when you're on set, it's all energy. And if you've got one person who is maybe the number one and they have a difficult energy, it will ripple and affect everyone on that set. And that's not fun. You have to be responsible for your energy. Obviously there are stars who are going to still work because, they're at a certain level and they bring bums on seats and all the rest of it. But yeah, if you are a good person, you work hard and you're gracious, you will keep working. You will absolutely keep working. And people do bring don't people do, but don't is my advice. Bring a bad attitude. Be gracious. Always be humble and gracious. Everyone's working just as hard as you. Everyone wants you to do well, apart from those difficult people.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, but you can just, you see it. And if ever like actors would come in the casting room, and a lot of it is, it's ego, but it's insecurity as well.
Yeah.
So they feel that, some actors feel they have to put on a persona or behave in a certain way, this like confident. I mean, I've only been on the other side of the casting room in Canada, so I can't speak actually for here. But yeah, we, you know, I'd see some guys will come in and, you know, they got their, you know, cocky, arrogant thing going on, and it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. I just want to see you do your thing, your audition. That's what the casting director wants to see.
Yeah,
and
you can tell a lot from a person's energy in a few minutes. And
the casting director's job.
Yeah,
my boss literally, like, she could tell within like 30 seconds if what was going to happen. And even if the audition like fell through and they needed, you know, you have to start again, whatever, like, yeah, if you're bringing yourself and good energy, people will give you the time. If you come in and it's, yeah, and you're difficult, people don't have time for that, in my experience.
No, indeed. Quick question here from Paul again. Your biggest fan, obviously. Did Andrea find having a British accent useful as a USP, or did she end up mostly using general American? So I guess this is in relation to your work in Canada.
Yeah, that's a good question. If you are an actor going to Canada or America, you better get your American accent down, and not what you think is good, what is actually good. So do the training, because what you think is an American accent is not. And when you actually live in a North American country, you soon realize that. So it actually, most of my roles were using my natural accent. And I auditioned a lot, and I still did stuff in general American, but people would go, oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, let's just have this character be English. They hadn't thought about it, but then it just kind of, it worked. So
yeah, we're always telling the outcasts at class, if you're going to learn, you know, 2 extra accents, the first one should definitely be American, outside of the UK, and then the second one, maybe a second type of American accent might also be useful.
Yeah.
But you know, or Russian, if you want to play a Russian villain.
Yeah.
Eastern
just
European.
That standard general American. And that is, someone might say, what is that? There's so many different accents in that country. There are, but just a very neutral, so that someone couldn't say, oh, they're from New York or they're from Boston. It's just a neutral American accent. Yeah. And that's,
I mean, you can build the inflections in later if once you're
yeah. But that's it. And the Brits, I think, I don't know, it's easy to go into like a southern twang or a southern drawl, and, you know, from what you've heard on the movies a lot, I don't know, maybe, or maybe that's what I felt more comfortable doing. I like Tennessee Williams and playing, you know, Streetcar Named Desire, and taking on that southern drawl. But no, get that standard American accent down. It's really important. And then if you can do a natural accent, fantastic.
Good stuff. Before I let Mel jump in with a couple of questions, because I know you're dying to ask some, Mel. What additional skill sets in your experience have you found you've either picked up and you thought, I'm glad I know how to do this now, whether it might be stripping an M16 machine gun down to the bone from Van Helsing or whatever, or sword fighting. I mean, what skills could actors be brushing up on in their downtime aside from accents that you think universally might be the most beneficial to them?
I think the physical, and you don't have to be a stunt actor, but to be able to know a few moves and be able to understand how to land, make a punch land and make it look real. So yeah, learning a few tricks and stunts, I think, is really helpful. And I never had any stunt training. I had my theatre training in London, and we did, certain modules and stuff. But I learned on the job, and I didn't do major stunts, but I definitely would have different weapons to use. And sometimes the stunt guy could have been a girl, but in my case, it was a guy, would say, oh, let me see you before this scene. Have you done this before? No. So you're about to shoot. Now, like, oh, we just need 5 minutes. And then suddenly stunt guy is teaching me how to, and you're like, and then suddenly camera's rolling and you're doing it for real. So brushing up on that, I think, is a couple of classes in that would be definitely beneficial. You never know when it's going to come up, like handling a weapon for TV. I did a course in that. Firearm. That was good. And also, I think, with a lot of the shows that shoot here, I think horse riding. I really want to do some more horse riding for my role in the forest playing the Queen. I've got to make sure I can gallop on a horse.
Well, you're already near the forest, so presumably horses
everywhere.
There must be some horses around.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
Actually, now I think about it, one of the members of the creatives got like 3 horses. I just remembered Sebastian.
Yes. Yeah,
one of which is called Gonk. Don't ask. We don't know why.
Okay.
But he's got a horse called Gonk. I'm sure the horse was really upset when it learned this. But Mel, do you want to jump in with a couple before we wrap up?
Yeah. Is there anything that you particularly wish you hadn't done? Any mistakes that you'd made that you could pass on, or decisions that you've made that maybe you wouldn't make? Yes.
I don't like to live in regret. I trust everything has taken me to where I'm meant to be. But of course we're talking today about going to, maybe moving to another country and working in it and what that's like. But when I was there, I look back, and this is a good reminder to myself now, and I thought, if I'd worked as hard as I'm working now there, who knows what could have happened to my career here. Because I got distracted, basically. Living in London is expensive. We all know that. I had to get a different job, and then suddenly I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And going to Canada, I was able to completely clear my schedule of everything. And, I have my day jobs, but I was able to really laser focus in. And so maybe one doesn't need to necessarily leave where they are and go somewhere else, but they can shift and change their approach to what they're doing and change, use a different tactic. And now, as I'm back here and I'm trying to crack a little door, in the industry here I'm an outsider now. I've got a good CV and I've had great experiences, but I haven't been in the industry here for a long time, so I need to figure out and look at my tactics and what I'm doing and how I'm kind of making the door open for me. So that is something. Sometimes we get frustrated and we think we need to be somewhere else. It's an escapism thing, and I do it all the time. As soon as something's hard, I'm like, I gotta go there, then it's going to be great. And in my case it was, but it can also, you can shift things where you are as well, I do believe. So that's something.
And which do you prefer, theatre or television, film? What's your medium?
All of it. I trained in theatre. I fell in love with the theatre when I was a kid, and honestly, that's the heart of it, I think. Vancouver, that's part of the question from earlier as well, is more of a film town. There's not much theatre there. I did 2 plays in 9 years. It's mainly TV and film. Theatre in Canada is in Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg.
Did you work at all in Toronto? I did mean to ask you that earlier.
No, I didn't. I'd audition for stuff, but nothing came through.
Right.
So but all my friends, a lot of my friends would go east to shoot stuff. Cool. I lost my train of thought.
No, well, I just jumped in there with that question about Mel was asking if you had a preference, but you said you liked them all.
No, I love both. I think it's important. No, that was my thought, is that with Vancouver being a film town, and also with North America being someone said their idea of how in America it's kind of what you can do, and in England it's like what you can't do, which is quite a good way. Like in England, it's like, this is hard and there's a struggle, and it's real. We're real, and that's important. But in America, their way of thinking for some people is more of a can-do, positive. So in that sense, anyone can be an actor. All you have to do is go to a class for 6 weeks and you're an actor, which I struggled with at first, because I've done years and years of training, and you just did 5 weeks and suddenly we're auditioning for the same stuff, and you booked it. So
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that.
No, I mean,
that's mental.
It is. It is. And at first I was like, what? But the elitism that still exists in this country, which is due some change. And I respect drama schools. And that's why the BRITS as well are everywhere. They're working everywhere all the time. The training is rigorous and brilliant. And that it speaks for itself. But also, there are some great actors that did not go to drama school and found a different way into the industry, like Sheridan Smith. She did not go to drama school, and she's fantastic. And National Youth Theatre, actually, because I know that because her first agent, I used to work in her office one day a week while I was studying to learn the business of acting, and Sheridan was her client. And she's an instinctive actress, and she's learned.
I saw her in the NYT production of Bugsy Malone.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was in Bugsy Malone in the 80s, and I was always like, if there's a production of Bugsy Malone on, I've got to go and see it, Yeah. And she was in that. Wasn't as good as our one, but we were in one of the ones that Alan Parker really liked. And he was quite vocal about the productions that he did. And did you see 4 Lives that she was in recently? BBC drama.
I just caught up on a bunch of her shows.
she's done about 3 outstanding dramas, probably in the year just before you got back.
Yeah.
4 Lives was about the serial killer
Yeah.
Stephen Port in Barking, the Barkingside murders. What a fuck up that was. And I mean, she had a smaller role in that, but she was still amazing. And then she was also in the one about Shannon Matthews that went missing, the girl that went missing. Not long after the Madeleine McCann thing, and it was all a hoax to try and get money. And she played like the best friend of the mother of the girl who went missing, and she orchestrated the media campaign to get people interested in the search. And she was phenomenal in that. It was a 3-part.
Every role she just transforms and is so brilliant. I adore her. The other one was The Teacher, when she played a teacher and was accused of having an affair with a student. I watched that this year.
Was that based on a true story as well?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know what? I don't think I've seen that one. I'm gonna have to track that down. Mel, any other questions before we sort of begin to wrap up?
Have you had any really surreal moments?
Many.
Any favourite ones?
The play we worked on together was pretty surreal.
That was surreal. It was.
Had its positives. I got to work with you. That was a good thing.
There we go. It was a great thing. Surreal moments. I think every moment on Robin Hood, directed by Ridley Scott. That was pretty surreal. I
actually got penciled for that at one point. I was going to be. I was going to be one of the wenches.
A wench.
Yeah,
It
fell through.
Oh no! I probably booked the role.
It might have fallen through.
Just a sort of background wench. With
I played Little John's wench again because I'm very tall and he was 6'10" in the show Kevin Durand. So that worked in my favour then.
Were you on any of the days of that were delayed because Russell Crowe kind of buggered off to watch the cricket and suddenly everybody
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. They're standing around. It's like costing $75,000 an hour or something, and it was like, we haven't got our principal here. What are we going to do? So I guess they shot a lot of second unit that day. Or
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, that was a surreal experience. So what's next for you? What's the plan?
The plan is to get a brilliant agent who can collaborate with me and bring lots of great opportunities to the table.
I've got another name. I've got another. When we get off air, there's someone else I'll connect you with. There's brilliant. 2 people. So that's 2.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. And I'm reaching out. I'm not very good at asking for help, and a lot of us feel like this. And the industry is very much, and here it's all referrals to get an agent. And I've been away a long time, and it's hard to kind of pick up the phone or send a message even and say, oh, remember me? Like, can you help me? But I actually have had some good responses from people saying, yes, of course, I'll help you. So sometimes it's scary to ask for help, but sometimes you just got to do it, and it can come back good. So yeah, no, I'm excited. It's going to be a busy summer, isn't it? There's a lot of cool stuff shooting here.
There's a lot of stuff shooting.
Because obviously after the pandemic, it's going to be the most normal year since things shut down. So I think it's an exciting time to be back.
Well, I'm expecting you to, pop up as a guest villain on a Marvel shoot or something along those lines in the not too distant future. I'm sure that's going to happen. Listen, Andrea, it's been really great catching up with you again. I do hope you'll come on again. And do another one of these and whenever, year's time or whatever. Another thing that we do is we also do a thing called Chew the Fat, where I get guests to come on who just love films and television shows, And we do things like we talk about our top 10 disaster movies, for example. That's the next one of those that I'm doing. We've already done top 10 historical films, and I'm doing top 10 sci-fi films before 2005. And then we're doing top 10 horror. That's coming up as well. So maybe we can get you on for one of those. Top 10 sword and sorcery flicks would be a good one for you to come on, because then you can advertise, look, I've got a sword and I'm prepared to travel. Cast me in something.
Sing in my garden.
And I know how to ride a horse. So for those people watching, just to remind you that the Outcast Creative's got 2 acting chapters, if you like. Both of them meet on Monday nights. We're in the brew house and kitchen upstairs in the pub. It's a drop-in. You can just turn up. And that's on Monday nights between 6 and 9:30. The Rainbow Centre in Digbeth, run by Suzette Pluck, who's normally here on one of these, same time. And they're very cheap. So we've also got a couple of specialist sessions coming up with casting directors and other workshops like that. And then we have our play at the Joint Stock Theatre. You can see the dates and times on the screen now. It's from the 18th to the 22nd of October. We think also we're going to be doing a week in London. We're just waiting for confirmation on the venue. But that's false accounts about the post office scandal, the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history. And I managed to write another 6 pages of the play today. So, it's all happening. We're getting there. We're getting there. And it's not on until October, so I've still got a bit of time. But Andrea, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure to see you again. I hope you get to meet in person, maybe go for a catch-up drink with Tom. I'd really like that.
That'd be great, definitely.
So do let me know if you're in the big smoke. And Paul Thomas, thank you, for answering his questions, of which there were many, but more than happy to do that. It's all about sharing the love, and I think you're one of the people in the industry that kind of exudes that kind of thing. Oh, there's also another comment from Debbie Lee Taylor, who's another member of the Outcast Creative. Love Andrea's energy. I'm sure she'll get snapped up for another great role soon. We could not agree more, Debbie. We could not agree more.
God. Thank you.
Yeah, Debbie's a cracking actress herself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I've been lucky enough to direct her, I think, 3 times now. So, fantastic. All right, so guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We've got another one of these next Wednesday. I believe I am interviewing. God, who am I interviewing? Oh, next Wednesday I'm doing Paul Biddis, who's the biggest military advisor in film and television working today. He did Dunkirk, and I think 1917. I think he did Dunkirk as well. He coordinates all the extras, all the when you've got lots of soldiers on a set. He is your guy. He's ex-military himself. He's an ex-para. So we've got Paul Biddis coming on next Wednesday. I've got Craig Fairbrass coming on before the end of June to do his top 10 favorite crime shows with me. That's going to be a great stream. We've got Jason Solke from the Sharp television series coming on, and other people as well in the future. And of course, we'll have Andrea back at some point. So from us, thanks very much for tuning in. Do subscribe and like to the channel, share the stream, and we'll hope to see you all again real soon.